Sup shooters, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SB Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a track by a group named Shadows and Veils, and this track from them is titled The Year That Never Was, which from I can only assume is probably related to 2020. That comes to mind very naturally to me when I think of the year that never was, especially for musicians. You know what I mean? Because of all the lockdowns and stuff like that, and people not being able to go out and do like shows and tours and all that. But we'll switch over to here. We're gonna listen to this track, The Year That Never Was, from start to finish, and we're gonna hear what we think. Oh, cool drums. Is that strings? Hey, is that a fiddle or a violin or something like that? Oh, guitars. That was some cool modulation on that tone, dude. Is that pitch shifter or something? Now that was what happened then. I was going to talk about how smoothly the introduction flowed into the verse, but was that a different time signature they had then sent temporarily? 4, 1, 2. Was that 5/4? That's cool. You know, because even changing our time signature up is a way to help a track to stand out. Like, even something sort of like that, just to sort of get the listener to go, oh, this is different, I'm not used to this. It's great. There's these little things, right? And how the strings kind of came in a bit more strongly in this kind of build-up. You got the guitarist coming in now. Nice strong fill as well. Her voice is angelic, eh? Like, the mixing and mastering, this is on point. I am so pleased with how clear, just the beauty of it. Like, how her voice soars over everything else. The drums have room, the guitars have room, the bass is prominent but without dominating. It's just really top stuff. This is exactly what you need with the first impression. Well done. Cool. I'm liking the variety in this track. Feel like giving up. Just remember. Yeah, because I actually, it makes me wonder how many musicians did really struggle last year. Like, I started doing these music reviews in about April, May 2020, around the time that New Zealand just came out of the lockdown, because I live in New Zealand. And for a lot of musicians here, I kind of want to sort of talk to more musicians to find out their stories. I really... Yeah, it was a brutal year, wasn't it? Brutal year. The tone of her voice is very understanding and soothing, which I guess is kind of something you need with a topic like this, right? Kind of a warbly, kind of chorusy kind of effect, right? On the guitars? Or is that the bass or the guitar? What I'm loving about this is that this track has the audacity to not just rely on the guitars for most of it and to let the strings and the bass and for there to be breaks. Like, it's such a fascinating song. It goes against a lot of the standards that I have sort of pushed into my skull over the last year or so, where, you know, if you start with the drums, you gotta have the drums the whole way through. And they just cut it for that second verse. You know what I mean? I think it's really cool. It's kind of, to me, as I understand it, is like borderline through composed, but at the same time, I can tell there's like a verse solo. Cool. So is a bass solo going into a chorus? A guitar solo? Cool. I'm glad that it didn't resolve there. That tension was left at the end of that note where the singer came in. I think that's really fantastic because it sounded like it was going to resolve. And I was thinking, oh, don't do it. Don't do it. Because we're not at the end of the song yet. You know what I mean? There's still more stuff to say potentially. We've got a minute to go. And it didn't. Well done. Well done. Beautiful solo. Fantastic guitar solo. But just this, isn't this kind of surreal? And we're back to that chorus. Gorgeous. Well done. Just before we flip to that camera, because I usually do my outro on that camera, that there was a stunning way to end that song. It just would have seemed, given how sort of differently they've tried to structure and write their songs, just sort of like your typical intro single where it's like a couple of verses and a couple of choruses. It just would have seemed weird for them to have finished that chorus nice and cleanly, for them to have kind of extended that outro like that by repeating that the year that never was hook like that to really get it stuck in your head before you leave the journey. It's just really cool. It's really kind of finalizes the fact that it's over, because 2020 never really felt like it wanted to end. Just keep going. It's really cool to hear a take on the year that isn't either totally just aggressive and unforgiving or also apathetic. I think that the production involved in this has been done in a way that caters to the tonality of the singer and the subject that she wanted to talk about in a nice, loving, caring way, but without losing its soul. It doesn't sound like it's been done in a way that's meant to sound exceptionally clean or lifeless. You can tell that each of the instrumentalists involved still had their own sort of profile, and they had their own. They had the authority to write what they wanted to write. It wasn't just a one-person group. You know what I mean? But there's still a sort of sense of camaraderie around it, and it's just. I think that they understood what they were doing to a T. They specifically, like the singer specifically outlined specific lines in there that she really wanted people to understand, such as, talking about giving up but remembering that, think it will pass and it will improve. And the year that never was is the title track. Definitely knew what she was doing, which leads me to believe that sort of the more sort of legato-ish kind of extended kind of breathy kind of delivery of a lot of the choruses was more of a deliberate sort of way of making sort of more of a melody than anything over the chorus to sort of add to what's layered on already with the guitars, the bass, and all that. You know, it's the strings are a nice touch. There was a lot of passion provided by those. They were played in a way that was very mature and appropriate. And there was never a dull moment in terms of the actual songwriting and structuring of this. Having a bass solo was a really nice touch. I think that was pretty dope. And the drummer as well got to do a few really cool fills. And I mean, the other day I was thinking about drum fills and how they were mixed. I've heard a few tracks recently where they do this weird kind of high pass filter on the toms where they only get the high end of them because they're afraid of like not allowing enough room for like the bass instruments and stuff, but they managed to mix the toms on the drum kit exceptionally well for those fills in a way that didn't interfere with the rest of the instruments, especially because they gave space. There was so much space. There was a sense of dynamic range, understanding what was required in order to really nail dynamic range, having quiet parts and loud parts. It's just, I'm so happy for these guys that they were able to write music like this. It's so masterfully crafted, and at 4 minutes 26, that is quite long for a single nowadays. But they nailed it. They nailed it. They absolutely nailed it, and I've got nothing for love for what they've done and for the purpose of what they were doing, and it's relevant. A lot of people will understand it. I think that it's also a better way of looking at the year. You know, musicians struggled, and we have solidarity in that. And hopefully things will improve, and the people that felt like giving up will be able to find new hope in the fact that it's going to end soon. And the people will be able to start touring and doing gigs again and actually meet their fans in person as opposed to having to do live streams all the time. You know what I mean? But yeah, thank you for watching this review of Shadows and Veils with The Year That Never Was. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Stay cool, stay safe. Please check out their social medias. I'm assuming they also have like a Spotify or a SoundCloud, all that, so feel free to check that out as well. And also, please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need to help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. That's just a typical thing I have as a part of my outros. It's not specifically for this song, but it is especially meaningful with considering the song we've just listened to. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spider hands out.